so that you could listen to it. So it's not just so you can test your audio and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was copyright-free music because I Googled copyright-free music and I paid a license for copyright-free music. And turns out it wasn't copyright-free music. So I demand a refund, number one. But also I decided the best thing to do is not gamble. Because even if you yank something off the internet and you pay for it and you think it's copyright-free, Google, YouTube, Facebook, a lot of these other places, they don't care. They're going to tell you you're violating somebody's rights. You're infringing on someone's copyright. And so what I decided to do was just scrap the copyright-free music because it wasn't copyright-free anyway. And I decided, what? I'm doing great, Dan. Dan Bongino just walked by, so sorry. Anyway, listen, I've only got one more minute to vamp. Only one more minute to vamp, and then we're going to start the show. So this is the new introduction. It's not going to be musical. It's just going to be, and maybe I'll sing. Hey, this is me getting ready for the show. Maybe I won't. But anyway, it's very, do you remember the Gary Shandling show or It's Gary Shandling show or whatever? They had this theme song that was just kind of this guy singing, hey, here's the theme song. Maybe I'll come up with one of those. And that way I know that I'll own it. I know that there won't be any issues. I know that there won't be any problems with it. I'll know that I can just use it copyright free forever and ever and ever again. If anyone, you know what I should do? I should get a song written for me. I should probably just bring back the Mark Kaye Show song. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to start Mark Kaye Saves the Republic here in just about 10 seconds. If you're watching the countdown, probably there's like 10 seconds left. 7, 6, 5, 4. Anyway, enjoy the show. Ta-da! Oh, I don't hear myself. You know why? Because I had my microphone muted. What? I didn't hear myself, just like J.D. Vance didn't hear Kamala Harris when she called yesterday. I don't know if you heard about this, but J.D. Vance got a phone call from Kamala Harris, and he sent her to voicemail. But that's not even the most shocking thing. J.D. Vance, he gets chosen by Donald Trump to be the VP. He'd be the second on the ticket, and he's now going to be. That's quite an honor. It's an amazing honor, of course. And Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, decides that she is going to call and congratulate him. And he looks at his phone and goes, "Kamala, you know what? I'm busy. We'll put her on. We'll send her to the VM. We'll just he literally hit ignore on the vice president of the United States. He was like, Kamala Harris, do I want to talk to her?
Not today."
So here's the strangest thing, though. The vice president of the United States calls a senator and says, I want to congratulate him. She gets sent to voicemail. And the really bizarre thing is that she left one. I mean, she left it. If I were the vice president of the United States and somebody that I called sent me to voicemail, I would not leave a voicemail at all. I would just be like, look, you know what? You lost your chance. And I would send an angry text. That's what I would do. I would send like one of those the angry red emoji with the expletives over the mouth. That's what I would do to let people. In fact, why are we still calling people with congratulatory phone calls? Can't we just text anyway? I don't blame J.D. Vance. I don't care who you are. I'm not answering the phone. And if it said Kamala Harris or if it said the White House, I would think it was someone just pranking me. One of my idiot friends. I actually only have one friend. My one idiot friend trying to prank me. But here we go. The New York Post, by the way, did a big story on this. This was big news. Think about this. This is horrible for the Biden-Harris campaign. Kamala Harris called J.D. Vance and left voicemail of congratulations after Trump VP announcement. Wait, hold on one second. I got some kind of error message. So I want to make sure. I got some kind of error message. So I want to make sure that it looks like we're still working, so we'll just roll with it. Kamala Harris called J.D. Vance and left a voicemail of congratulations after Trump VP announcement. Vice President Kamala Harris called Ohio Senator J.D. Vance on Monday, left him a congratulatory voicemail after the Republican vice presidential pick did not pick up. A Biden-Harris campaign official confirmed to the Post. Also, who is this Biden-Harris campaign official that's confirming that to the New York Post? Fire that person. Harris, 59, made the call after former President Donald Trump announced Vance, 39, as his VP pick on Truth social. So a really, really big day all around here at the RNC in Wisconsin, where we are live. We are on Media Row. We are sitting right here. We got the American flag to the left. We've got a bunch of other people to the right, and we're going to be here all week. This is day 2 of the RNC, and day 1 was, it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. One of the most incredible things that happened on day 1 was the shocking appearance and speech given by Amber Rose. Now, for those of you who are like, who is this Amber Rose person? Amber Rose is, she calls herself a model and entrepreneur. You might also call her a rap star or dancer of a type of, adult variety. And she has she dated Kanye West, which was another one of her big claims to fame. She dated Kanye West for a while, and she also has interesting facial tattoos. They say bash and slash. And you might be thinking to yourself, why does her face say bash and slash? Well, it's in honor of her children, who apparently are named Bash and Slash. I think one is Sebastian. I think it's Sebastian, and she calls him Bash, and then the other. It doesn't matter. So Amber Rose came out a couple weeks ago in favor of Donald Trump. She said, look, the media has been lying to black voters for years. The Democrats have been lying to black voters for years. African Americans need to realize that Donald Trump is the only person that cares about our electorate, and that the Democrats are just using us for decades, promising us things for decades, and failing to fulfill those promises because they just wanted votes. And Amber Rose realized this, and she said something about it on the internet. So now she's at the RNC, and man, she gave a fantastic speech. Listen to this.
I'm here tonight to tell you, no matter your political background, that the best chance we have to give our babies a better life is to elect Donald Trump President of the United States.
Yeah, so she's saying to give Bash and Slash a better life, we got to elect Donald Trump to President of the United States. And she was a featured speaker. I mean, she's up there. You got Byron Donalds. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've got, who else was up there yesterday? A whole bunch of other fantastic people. Charlie Kirk was up there speaking from TPUSA. And Amber Rose saying, hey, the best chance for our family, the best chance for our children, the best chance for our posterity, not posterior, posterity, is Donald Trump. Oh, and also the media, they be lying.
Now, you may be wondering why I'm up here telling you this. I'm no politician, and I don't want to be. But I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump.
The media has been lying, not just about Donald Trump. Media has been lying about a lot of other things. But this is really, it's really fantastic, and it's really an exciting thing to see, because you have Amber Rose, who is from a different world than most conservatives here at the RNC. You've got Amber Rose, who comes from a totally different background, a totally different media environment. She comes from this world of rap music and Kanye West and reality TV shows and modeling, and now she's standing on stage at the RNC, and she is going off about the media, which is really fantastic, and I think it's a great thing for the African American voters. She said that it was actually her father, who's a conservative, listen to this. Listen to how she came across Donald Trump in the first place.
The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research.
You have to do your research, folks. Yeah, I've been screaming this for years. Do your research. Do your research. You know what, though? It takes Amber Rose to get a lot of people to finally start researching. But her dad, thank the Lord, said to her, Amber, you got to look into Donald Trump. He's not a racist. You can't believe the media. The media is going to lie to you. They're going to tell you all these falsehoods. They're going to tell you things that just flat out are not true. And what you need to do is make up your own mind. So what does she do? She goes out there and she researches, and she hangs out with all of these Trump supporters, and she realizes, you know what? Trump supporters, they're actually pretty decent people.
I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love.
Look, we don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, or all of the above. It's all love. And anyone who's ever spent any time at the RNC knows. Anybody who's ever spent any time at a Donald Trump rally knows. Anyone who's ever spent any time ever anywhere with Donald Trump supporters knows that this is the actual party. It's not what the media tells you. It's not what MSNBC tells you. It's not what Joe Biden tells you, which, by the way, Joe Biden was talking to Lester Holt yesterday again. I don't know why they think putting Joe Biden on TV every night is good for his campaign, because every night I turn on the TV and there's Joe Biden and he's just gaffing and lying and spreading these falsehoods, and it just makes him look even worse. If you really want to salvage Joe Biden's legacy, stop putting the man in front of a camera. And I don't care if it's Lester Holt or George Snuffleupagus or any of the other people, when they call you for an interview with the president, you say he's busy. Not he's in bed, not it's past 8 o'clock. You say he's busy campaigning. He can't talk to you, because putting him on TV is just the worst. And we'll have some of those clips coming up. But Amber Rose, I think, shocked a lot of people at this. And I was sitting with the Texas delegation. And man, when she came out on stage, the Texas delegation, they lifted up those 10-gallon hats, and there was some head scratching going on, because they were a little shocked. But at the end of it, they were on their feet when she said this.
American families were better when Donald Trump was president. We were safer, wealthier, and stronger. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to put money back in our pockets and good food on our kids' plates. Yes. Or, as Trump would say, it's a vote to make America great again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, look at that. But she noticed she didn't say cheap food on our kids' plates. She said good food on our kids' plates, because that's exactly what she wants for Bash and Slash. It's so exciting to be, I haven't been to an RNC since 2016, but you can tell the vibe here, the youth vibe, the younger vibe, the new people who have been drawn to this party from all different walks of life, just walking around Media Row, walking around in front of the Pfizer Forum, seeing the speakers, and also, get this, there's an entire youth advisory council here. There's an entire youth advisory council, and they have like 70 or so influencers that are wandering around. They're doing all these TikToks, and because it's cool to be on TikTok now that Donald Trump said it's okay to be on TikTok. It's no longer the taboo Chinese spy app. It's something we can all do. By the way, follow me on TikTok. And then the other thing is that you've got young people from TPUSA and all over the place that are just scattered around the RNC, and they are bringing this vitality and this youthfulness to it, and it's exciting for the future. One of them is an author and chairman of the RNC Youth Advisory Council, who I want to say he's like 19 years old. Are you?
It's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about.
Be quiet. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Are you? Wait, where's your camera? Are you? Let me make sure I have you on camera here. I should be seeing you on camera there. Let me try the split screen. That's weird.
It says no card on the camera.
Yeah, I know, but you should still be there. Hang on one second. That's a little. I had you there a second ago. We have. Well, Brillon Holand is here. Brillon, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Hang on one second. I'm going to fix this 1 second, and let's see. Let me try this right here. That's weird. All right, here we go. You are how old?
18. Just turned 18 2 weeks ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I can vote now.
You
That's
can.
the most exciting thing. I just registered.
It's nice that the youth council advisor head would be able to vote for Donald Trump. Now, yes. Real quick, tell us about your book, which is called One Generation Away, while I try to fix your camera.
Absolutely. So my debut book, One Generation Away, released last Tuesday. It is currently #2 on the Amazon bestsellers list. Which is
right
a true
now.
Testament. Yes, it's a testament to the American dream.
That is fantastic.
That it's alive and well, and an 18-year-old is allowed to publish a book that can also be a bestseller, which is really, really cool. So I wrote it at the age of 17, really with a lot of frustration that there wasn't a lot of hope in America. I know you hear that same thing from your audience, and we really wanted to reinstill the values that built this country and really built this party. And so that's really the basis behind the book. Your audience can get signed copies at BrillonBook.com. There I am.
There you are. Look at that. I know. You look too good to not broadcast on camera. Let me zoom in on you a little bit. And fantastic. Tell everyone again where they can get the book.
BrillonBook.com. Signed copies are available, and we'd love to get them out to your audience.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so tell us about the Youth Advisory Council. Tell us about these influencers, and tell us about Because this is something you pitched, right?
Yes, correct. Yes. So I was on a network last January and was attacking the RNC, was attacking the chairwoman at the time.
Which network was it?
It was Fox.
Oh,
and it was on
good.
their morning show and was going after the RNC pretty
Ronna
aggressively.
McDaniel?
Ronna McDaniel at the time.
Former
yes.
RNC chairman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And was calling her out by name by saying that, listen, there's zero youth engagement coming from the RNC. Top down, there's zero engagement. And got a text from her assistant the next morning and was terrified. Said, can we meet? Now, this is a Saturday morning. The RNC doesn't work on Saturdays. You know this. Politicians don't work on Saturdays.
Yeah, they barely work Monday through Friday.
Exactly. So I was a little concerned. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I thought I might get blacklisted from the party, but really it was the opposite, Mark. They reached out and said, we hear you, and we want to, what are your ideas to actually do some youth engagement? And so I pitched this idea. I said, listen, Ronna, the DNC founded their Youth Advisory Council in 2005.
Right.
We're almost 20 years behind them. We've got to kind of step up this game. And so I pitched the idea. She let me be the chairman of it. We've spent the past year and a half actually growing this council to make sure that it's diverse representation of America, that we really have a lot of young people with a lot of different backgrounds on here, whether it's social media, whether it's policy, making sure that it's high school, college students, graduates, all across the country. So just like you said, this week's a big week for us. We're making history. This is the first first convention to be covered by influencers.
And the interesting thing is, Donald Trump himself is one of the biggest influencers.
Yes.
People don't realize he was the first politician to embrace Twitter back then, before anyone else. And he realized the importance of taking the message directly to the people.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward 8 years, you've got all kinds of influencers. So who, besides you,
Yeah.
which by the way, if people want to follow you, where should they follow you? On
At
Instagram?
Brillon Holand, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok as well, just like you.
Yeah.
So we're all on there. So really, you're exactly right. Donald Trump is the ultimate influencer.
Yeah, he really
so
is.
It was pretty easy to pitch this idea to him when I said, guys, listen, we have the opportunity to fly up. We have about 100 here, crawling across Milwaukee, filming videos, interacting with candidates, interacting with delegates, and it's working really well there. It's just young people that my peers, they wouldn't even know a convention is going on, and they're actually getting the message out there. So it's really, really cool. It's really, really, productive. Another thing, social media messaging is great. Getting our message out there is wonderful. You have to follow that up with actual grassroots activism. So just this weekend, I'm flying back home to Alabama, and I'm speaking at Rock the South. This is huge country festival that's going on Saturday at 7 p.m. And Eric Church is there. A bunch of big name country music stars are there. But most importantly, 35,000 young voters are there in the audience. That's 35,000 people that'll get to hear the message about why they should register to vote, why they should vote for Trump. We're all working really hard hand in hand. Social media is great, but also we got to work on the grassroots as well.
Who is in your list of influencers? Who are the people crawling around Milwaukee right now so that we can go follow them, so we can take a look? Like who? I know the Hodge twins are here.
The Hodge
right?
twins just touched down. They're
okay.
here.
Oh, they just got here.
They're here, yes.
Well, they're like a day late. What's going on? Anyway, who else is here?
So the Hodge twins are here. We have Alexis Wilkins, who's really big. She's a singer in Nashville, and took the opportunity to come here. She sang the national anthem yesterday.
That's awesome.
We have some really, really cool representation, obviously, from Turning Point USA that we talked about, and some of their ambassadors that took the time to come here. Turning Point's also hosting a big party to young people, involved before.
Is there an
the
age
convention.
limit?
There's not necessarily an age limit. So on the council's age limit's about 35.
But what about the party?
Oh, you could come.
Oh, okay, good.
For the party, yes. I'll text you the invite now.
Oh,
Yes,
that'd be great.
Absolutely.
No, it's TP USA, because we went to a couple of TP USA events in Tampa, and to walk into that place and see the college movement, to see the youth movement. We met a couple of Morgan McMichael, for example, was there, and a couple of these influencers who are just. It's really interesting to see, because you never think conservatism, you never think republicanism, you never think young people dressed to the nines and having a blast, but that's exactly what it's become.
It absolutely is what it's become, and that's what we're seeing, and it's really, really working. A New York Times poll just last week had President Trump winning the youth vote by 8 points. That has not happened since 2003. A Republican presidential candidate has not won the youth vote since 2003. This is history in the making. We're seeing it firsthand this week. We have the winning message. We just have to work on getting our message out there, and it's working.
What is it about Donald Trump that draws you? Okay, Joe Biden is maybe not the best person to draw young people to it. But let's say it was a different candidate. Let's say it was Kamala or Gavin Newsom. What is about Donald Trump and this particular platform that draws younger people these days?
So there's two things. First of all, his policies are winning policies. I've got to start with that. Make America Great Again isn't just a bumper sticker. It's the way of life that my peers want. We want to live in a great country, and we're currently not living in a great country. We want to raise our kids one day in a great country, and we're not seeing that possibility right now. So President Trump did that for 4 years. We know he can do that again for another 4, and we're excited for that possibility. The other thing is his authenticity. When I was having a conversation with President Trump before he started his TikTok account, like you were just talking about, and now has the fastest growing TikTok account in TikTok history. I mean, it's amazing. We had a conversation, and I said, Mr. President, if you get on the platform, you have to be authentic. Joe Biden attempted to get on there, and he's reading off a teleprompter, "Good morning, Gen Z, pause." It's not working. It's not effective. President Trump can actually be authentic because, again, he's the ultimate influencer. He's a down-to-earth man. fan, you've seen him. I mean, it's amazing. Walking in last night, I've never seen so much momentum in one room. I thought the roof was going to go off. Yeah, it was amazing. And so he really connects well with young people, and he cares with young people, and he has conversations with young people. Again, just seeking the advice of an 18-year-old first-time voter is amazing. That really shows that this isn't something he's pawning off to his staff to do. He's having real conversations with real young voters. He took the opportunity to go to a Turning Point conference just a few weeks ago
100%.
in Detroit, and he's really making an effort to reach out to us, and it's working because he's winning us over.
I'll tell you, having Jake and Logan Paul on the team doesn't help either.
Absolutely,
It doesn't hurt
and
either.
he understands how important that is. Most people would say we're not going to give him the time of day. This is silly. He did that, and again, it worked. He's winning by 8 points. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Brillon Holand.
Yes, sir.
One Generation Away is the book. You're the chairman of the RNC Youth Advisory Council. BRILYN.
Yes.
HOLLYHAND on Instagram, on TikTok,
Yes,
everywhere else.
everywhere.
Is that the invitation to the party?
This is my number. You can text me, and I'll send you an invitation.
And, hey, Brillon, thanks so much for being here. We
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was
lots
so
of
nice
fun.
meeting you. And I'm so glad that we've got, I mean, that's the thing. You're starting to see in the Republican Party, you're starting to see in the conservative movement, you've got minority votes coming in, you've got Latino votes coming in, and now the youth vote, and that means that it's going to be a slam dunk. It's going to be a slam dunk for Donald Trump and all other conservatives up and down the ballot here in 2024. Speaking of the youth vote, J.D. Vance, who's 39 years old, one of the youngest vice presidential candidates and in our history, J.D. Vance yesterday got a phone call from Donald Trump, and his 7-year-old son happened to be on the phone at the time, or happened to be running around in the background at the time. And Donald Trump took the time to talk to him. Listen to this. I want to hear. I'm going to play this clip for J.D. Vance. Listen carefully.
And my 7-year-old son was sort of making noise in the background. You know, I'm getting so embarrassed. It's like, oh my God, Donald Trump's asking me to be his vice president.
So the phone rings, he calls you, and you're like, okay, this is the call, or maybe not the call.
Or maybe it's a bad call, right? It's the call. Who knows whether it's good or bad? But then he actually has me put my 7-year-old son on the phone. You think about this. Everything that's happened, the guy just got shot at a couple of days ago, and he takes the time to talk to my 7-year-old. It's a moment I'll never forget.
Now, Donald Trump, first of all, will talk to anybody. He'll talk to a 7-year-old. But I also think that maybe Donald Trump was like, is that your 7-year-old there? Put him on the phone. I need to prep for my next debate with Joe Biden. That's actually insulting to J.D. Vance's 7-year-old son. I probably shouldn't have said that. I digress. But look, it's a phenomenal atmosphere here. It is really incredible. There is security everywhere. Like I said, Donald Trump yesterday, when he came out, I don't know if it was a surprise. I don't know if it was planned, but J.D. Vance was sitting there. Tucker Carlson was sitting there. Byron Donalds was sitting there. And all of a sudden they announced Lee Greenwood, who I believe we're going to have on later today. Lee Greenwood came out and he introduced Donald Trump, and Donald Trump walked out. And I want to show you something about Donald Trump walking out into the Pfizer Forum yesterday. I'm going to play it for you. And then I'm going to see if you notice what I noticed when Donald Trump came out in the forum yesterday. Listen to this. All right, so there he is. He's walking. There he is. He's got cameras. Look at all these dudes, okay? Now look at all these dudes. Dude, big dudes. Dudes that are his height. 1, 2, 3. There's like 12 dudes surrounding the president. There is not one female agent surrounding Donald Trump. I don't know if this is Secret Service. I don't know if this is private security. But Donald Trump's new security detail, after what happened in Pennsylvania, after the assassination attempt, you will see that whether it's his own doing or someone else's, it's all big dude, tons of them surrounding the president with an eye out, keeping watch, making sure that he's secure, making sure that he's safe, making sure that what happened in Pennsylvania doesn't happen again. This is the beginning of the end of DEI. This is where DEI goes to DIE. DEI is DEAD. I'm shocked I got all those letters out in the proper order. But this is going to be the beginning of the next wave of Donald Trump's administration. We spoke with Congressman Mike Waltz, we're speaking with Congressman Mike Waltz here a little later today, and Congressman Mike Waltz will be the first person to tell you that our military readiness is dependent on the training of our troops. And if we're bogging them down with DE&I initiatives and the proper use of pronoun training, it definitely puts a dent in our armor. It puts a damper on our military preparedness, and if we're not prepared militarily, then we've got a bunch of problems because China's prepared militarily. Vladimir Putin, he's got some nuclear weapons that we want to be concerned about. Kim Jong-un, Iran, terrorism. I mean, there's so many threats to America. There's so many threats to America now. You really want to think about this. The most dangerous 3 months in modern American history will be between November and January. Because if and when Donald Trump wins this election in November, you've got, see, November 5th is the election. You've got all of November, all of December. The inauguration is what, the 20th, 21st? One of those. You've got most of January, 3 months where Joe Biden, the lame duck president, who will be doing everything in his power to push through as many illegal immigrants as he possibly can, everything in his power he can do to push whatever parts of his agenda he hasn't yet executed on this country. It's going to be the last ditch effort for Putin and Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un and any other terrorist who hasn't done their dastardly deed to the United States of America yet. They're going to look at this and say, all right, we got 3 months. Because in 3 months' time, Donald Trump comes back, and I guarantee that the most dangerous 3 months in our history will be November, December, and January of this coming year for that very reason. But Donald Trump knows. He's got it, man. He knows all about security. He knows what it takes to remain secure. He knows what it takes, and he knows that he needs solid agents, prepared agents, agents who are as big as he is, are as tough as he is, and are ready, willing, and able, and well-trained enough to know and to react if there should ever be danger. All right, coming up in just a minute, like I said, we do have Congressman Mike Waltz on the show. Lara Trump is going to be here as well. She's the co-chair of the RNC, and she's just been doing a bang-up job. And we have another guest on the way as well. I have to check my schedule. Like I said, I'm here by myself. It's like just me. I got no producers. I have no booking agents. I've got my wife doing some stuff for me. She's like sending me information from home. I love you, baby. I appreciate that. But also, I'll be honest with you, it's been going really remarkably well. Oh, except today, speaking of security, this was kind of funny. I left this morning, and they give you credentials. I'm not actually supposed to show you my credentials, but you have a credential for every day of the week. There's a credential for Monday, a credential for Tuesday, a credential for Wednesday, and you could probably see the theme. You could get it. There's one for Thursday. And I had my Monday credential on, left the house, walked about a block in the Wisconsin heat, and realized I totally forgot my Tuesday credentials, so I had to walk back. Thankfully, it was just a block, and I didn't walk the mile to the venue, and I switched it all out. But I got down to the Secret Service area, and I think the security here is very tight. If you need any extra police officers, they're all here in Milwaukee. There are bike cops, but I mean, it looks like the Tour de France when these bike cops are driving around. There's that many of them. You have cops that are, Secret Service, Highway Patrol. I'm pretty sure I saw some FBI agents. They're shipping them in from all surrounding areas, not just Wisconsin, but from Illinois and everywhere else. There's helicopters flying around constantly. It is a super secure area. So, I'm walking up with my credentials, and I've got my coffee in one hand, and I've got my iPhone in the other, and I go to the security, and I walk through, and, fun fact, here's a pro tip, by the way. I've been wearing my nice broadcaster clothes, just, and walking around and sweating profusely the entire time, which is horrible because then they get wrinkly and sweaty and smelly and gross. But my buddy Chip, who sits next door at Nexstar, pro tip, Chip showed up yesterday in shorts and a t-shirt and brought his nice producer costume or his broadcaster costume with him. So after he set everything up, after he hiked a mile in these sweaty clothes, he was able to change. He looked brand new. So I stole that tip from him today, and I put on a polo shirt, walked through security, but the polo shirt I had was a Western style shirt. And the Western style shirt has, mother of pearl snaps on the pockets. So the Secret Service is there, and I'm walking through, and he goes, "I need to wand you, sir." And he wands my breasts, and because I have mother of pearl snaps on my Western shirt, my breasts start to beep. And I go, beep, beep. And he looks at me, and he goes, "Excuse me, sir, do you mind if I touch you with the back of my hand?" And, for a minute, my first reaction was, I should say something funny, like, "I'd rather you use the front of your hand." But I also realized this is the Secret Service, and I've got more important things to do than joke around. So I said, "Absolutely, you can do that." And he took the back of his hand and he caressed my left breast and then my right breast to make sure there was nothing but the mother of pearl snap. And as soon as he did that, one of the guys behind him went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And I thought I did something. He was turned around and he goes, "You only get to touch that man once," which was I like a Secret Service with a sense of humor. Listen, we've got a whole bunch of stuff we've still got to get to. I've got Mike Waltz. I've got Lara. Yesterday we did like an hour. Today we're probably going to do 4. because this is the day. Apparently, everyone was warming up yesterday. Yesterday was the day where everyone was getting their bearings. They were figuring out how everything worked. And today's the day where you're going to. We've just been bombarded with opportunities, with interviews, with people that they're bringing around, with stories to tell. Oh, Dan Bongino, by the way. Let me give you an update on my good buddy Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, first of all, fantastic guy, great broadcaster, true patriot. We love him. But yesterday he broadcast literally like 10 feet from. I'm looking at his old booth, right? It said the Dan Bongino Show. He had microphones. He had this big leather chair, everything else. So he does his show there. I do my show here. He's yelling. I'm yelling, whatever. There's people walking by. Every 5 minutes, someone comes up and says, Dan, hi, I'm from this radio station over here. Do you have 5 minutes for an interview? And he's like, no. And then some other goes, hey, Dan, it's me from this news network. Can you do an interview? He goes, no, I'm busy. And so today, I noticed when I got to work that the Dan Bongino booth had been the Dan Bongino was just stripped. Dan Bongino's logo is gone. Dan Bongino's equipment is out. Dan Bongino there's no more Dan Bongino. And he comes walking down the hall. I said, dude, what happened to your booth? He goes, oh, I got a better booth upstairs. I'm going to Rumble. So he's spending the rest of the week in Rumble. And I looked at him and I said, hey, can I have your chair? And he goes, you can have anything you want. I'm done with it all. So he leaves. And I snagged Dan Bongino's chair. So I've got this. If you're thinking to yourself, Mark, that is not the chair you had yesterday. That chair looks very comfortable, and it's swivelly, and it's leathery. You are correct. This is the former chair of Dan Bongino, the new chair, the official chair, by the way, of Mark K. Saves the Republic. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited that I could bring that to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we're going to have a hi, how are you, Tommy?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. We got Tommy here. Listen, I'm going to play you a quick message, and then we're going to talk to Tommy because he's got some fantastic information. We're still waiting on Lara Trump. We've got Lee Greenwood. We've got so much more coming up, but let me see if I can do this properly. Remember, if you have not yet gotten your copy of my new book, Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy, now is the best time. Well, not now, maybe after the broadcast, but sometime today, make sure you go to gotrumpyourself.com and grab a copy of Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy. In fact, you can order 3, 6, however many copies you want. There's an audiobook. There's an ebook. It's only $19. You can live like Trump for only $19. Go Trump Yourself. It's my new book. It's available right now. You put in your information. We'll send it right to your house, too. It's not like you have to go to the bookstore or the Walmart or anywhere. We'll send it directly to you. The website, once again, is gotrumpyourself.com. And the reviews are stellar. If you go to the website, you can see we've got hundreds and hundreds of Facebook reviews. We've got reviews actually printed in the book. I put them right in the front there. I love Mark K's personality and the quality of information he shares. That's more a review of me, but that's okay. I'll take it. Inspirational. This is a good one. Thank you, Mark K., for using your great sense of humor and personality to share your knowledge and experiences to help and inspire others. Time well spent. Look, all of these people are just as smart as you are, and all of these people really love this book. Go Trump Yourself. 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy. Go to gotrumpyourself.com. Okay, I did that myself. Can you tell? No, but seriously, look, we've been handing these copies out. There's a couple things at the booth that people are really into. They're really into the mints, again, thanks to my wife, and I'm going to be honest with you, I should just shut up and listen to my wife all the time because the mints have drawn more people over. I've gotten more opportunity from having Starburst mints on my booth than buttons or anything else. But the book is also a real crowd pleaser. Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy. If you're sick and tired of being, poor, $19 and we can turn all that around. GoTrumpYourself.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to have yet another fantastic guest. Let me see if I can do this right. There he is. Tommy Pigott is the Strategic Communications Director for the RNC, and I've seen you've been going all around all day, and I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. Busy day.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, so when I get one of these thousands and thousands of RNC update emails every day about what's going on. Is that you?
Part of that's me. We like to communicate maybe a little bit too much, so but that's definitely part of what we do.
Over communication is great, man.
Yeah.
Over communication I love because I never know what I'm doing. And you could, in fact, I still have a lot of questions, even though you've been pretty good about it. So now day one was phenomenal. Did we know that President Trump was going to make an appearance yesterday? Was that a surprise?
There was rumors, there was reporting, but ultimately I think President Trump made that decision, and it shows that that the Republican Party is more united than ever around President Trump. I mean, it was electric in there. It was such a moment about uniting this country, the momentum we have as a party, the Make America Great Again agenda that we have, and also the speakers that were talking about their real life experiences. Many former Democrats that were saying, hey, I looked at the policies, I actually did my own research, and I found out that President Trump is the candidate for me. Very inspiring, I thought, and it's such a day to start based off of what happened this last weekend in terms of the assassination attempt. And I think President Trump has shown his character with first how he responded to that assassination attempt. He's shown his strength, and he's shown that he's the one to bring our country together.
It is interesting how you mentioned former Democrats, because I think they should all be introduced that way. And now bringing to the stage former Democrat Amber Rose, because the Democrat National Committee, they're gonna have a difficult time trying to find former Republicans to bring to the stage, I imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard when you're actually looking at the issues, I think, to make the case for Democrat policies. That's the ultimate problem they have from a strategic communications perspective, is that they have to spin. We don't have to spin on the Republican side of the aisle. We just have the facts and the truths, the fact and the truth. So
maybe that's why Joe Biden always looks so dizzy, because he's just spinning everything all the time.
Well, I mean, that's the problem they have. So they do their best. They try to spin stuff, but ultimately their spin is proven false time and time again.
Always.
Because their policies don't work. That's one of the great things about being a Republican, contrastingly, is that our policies do.
Yeah.
When they're implemented, they work. And President Trump has that agenda. He's done it before, and he'll do it again.
That's awesome. When you so I don't know how long have you actually been here preparing for the convention?
So I've been on the ground only for a few days, actually.
Okay. So
yeah,
on Saturday, because I was on a plane flying here on Saturday, Donald Trump was in Pennsylvania, people were running around getting ready for this event. On Saturday, you get word that Donald Trump has been shot in the ear by an attempted assassin at a rally. There's fatalities. Does that change the entire course of what you've planned for this event?
Well, I think the first thing is the reaction that he had. We're talking with the Washington Examiner, and he was asked, why'd you stand up and give that fist bump? And he said, first, to signal that I was okay.
Right.
And second, to signal that America is strong and America is moving forward. And I don't know if there are anyone really in the history of the world whose first thought after that happened would be the American people. But that was President Trump's first thought. And I think for us here, we're taking our cues from President Trump, motivated by love of country, motivated by the fact that we need to turn this country around. We need to solve these problems that Americans are facing. So when it comes to the convention, the principles and the ideals that the Republican Party has are principles and ideals that all Americans can get behind. It's a unifying message. It's motivated by love of country. It's praying for our country, hoping to bring us together. And President Trump has the agenda to do just that.
Yeah, and it is true. We just played clips from Amber Rose and her speech and talking about doing the research and talking about the ideals that can really bring everybody. And if you really just sat back and you thought, what is Donald Trump saying? We should have secure borders. We should have a strong military. We should let people spend their money the way they want. I mean, who can argue with that? Who can argue with that? Really, clearly, the Democrats can't at all. So yesterday, another surprise. I mean, it was a surprise for us. It may not have been a surprise for you. This announcement of J.D. Vance as the vice presidential candidate on the ticket. It's now Trump Vance. And was that something that, again, you had to jump into action, or did you have a little bit of warning on that?
Well, we heard rumors reporting. Part of our job is to prepare. So we are preparing for a variety of different options. One of the great things about being a Republican is the success stories. We were talking about the policies working.
Yeah.
Republicans across the country deliver on their promises.
Yeah.
They deliver on what they say they're going to do. And so one of the great things about hearing all these names out there of possible VP picks was a reminder that across the country, Republicans are accomplishing great things for their constituents. I think one of the great things, there are many about J.D. Vance as the pick, is it reinforces Trump's message that the forgotten men and women of this country will be forgotten no longer under his administration.
Yeah.
I think one of the defining images of this campaign is going to be the toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. President Trump going just days after that happened, touring those grounds with J.D. Vance, saying, I am here to amplify your voices. I am here to get you help. It took Joe Biden over a year to go. Over a year to go, even though he promised he would go almost instantaneously, and we were waiting for updates for months and months and months and nothing from Joe Biden. I think that contrast showing that President Trump and J.D. Vance are about every zip code in this country, making sure we have prosperity for all, versus Joe Biden, who couldn't show up. And that, I think, is a contrast that's going to resonate with people.
I mean, he did send Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. There's something about the president going.
Yeah,
right?
no, I know.
And that's part of the job is being there in moments of crisis and leading a country out of crisis.
Sending Pete Buttigieg is adding insult to injury for those people. But you're right, J.D. Vance, and we were talking about this yesterday. J.D. Vance, I remember vividly the images of him in East Palestine, in the waders, in the water that looked like it had gasoline. I mean, it just looked like toxic water. I kept thinking, why are you standing in that? You're going to die. And then he had the bottles of water, and he was testing everything. I mean, he was a warrior for those people, and I have to imagine that's exactly one of the things that caught President Trump's eye.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to how successful he has been in the United States Senate. He has really been a constant fighter for the people of East Palestine, for the people of Ohio in general, with the toxic train derailment, but also when it comes to making sure that we have fair trade agreements, when it comes to making sure we're putting America first, when it comes to making sure that we are producing things in America again, and really honoring the legacy of the Americans that built this country in states like Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin, and then building on it, making people know those days aren't behind us, they're in front of us. We're going to build things in America again. I think J.D. Vance, President Trump have that agenda, and picking J.D. Vance reinforces it's not just talk from President Trump. He is committed and he has the policies to get it done.
All right, so we've got a bunch of I mean, this was day one. There were like 100 speakers. There were like 100 amazing speakers last night. That was day one. We have day two, which I haven't even looked at one of the 5 emails you've sent me yet. But I imagine there's another crop of fantastic speakers. Tomorrow is J.D. Vance and Don Jr., I believe, right, on Wednesday? Mm-hmm. And then Donald Trump for the big finale accepting the nomination on Thursday. What is it you're most excited about, or what is there still to come that we don't want to miss here at the RNC?
Well, of course, excited to see the president speak, excited to see J.D. Vance speak. Excited to see all the speakers speak. But one of the things I think it's a real contrast with Democrats is the fact that we're giving a platform to everyday Americans. I think those were, like we were saying earlier, the most powerful speeches, or some of them that we saw yesterday. People that aren't politicians, people that don't give speeches, but they're motivated by love of country and the fact that we know the solutions. They're right in front of us. We just need to implement them. We need to elect the right people to implement them. I was really moved by the people that were talking about that, saying, they don't even really want to be here, in a sense, right? They wish the economy was going great, but they're here because they love this country, want to put it back on the right track. And we're going to hear more from everyday Americans. But of course, extremely excited to hear President Trump speak, extremely excited to see J.D. Vance speak, and all of the speakers that really have that platform and that message to make America great again.
Yeah, it's a fantastic event so far. And like I said, we're going to be chatting with Lara Trump here in a minute. How's she been to work with? I mean, how long have you been with the RNC? Is this a new thing for you?
I've been rather long, something like 7 years now.
How are Michael Whatley and Lara Trump? I mean, it seems like they're putting on a fantastic event. How do you feel the RNC is with the current leadership?
Absolutely fantastic. You can't argue with results just at the very basic level, in the sense that fundraising has been extremely successful. We've seen an unprecedented election integrity program launched. 100,000 people strong is what they're building for election integrity across the country.
That's lawyers, right?
That's lawyers. There's also poll observers and poll watchers to make sure that we have, when you see something, we have the infrastructure on the ground to respond in real time to election integrity concerns. Yeah. That's part of that effort. Also, legal action across the country. We're engaged in action to make sure that non-citizens aren't able to vote in U.S. elections, which seems like common sense, but for some reason you have to engage in legal action. Democrats want to do that.
They all voted no on the SAVE Act. So, yeah, of course, okay, we got to lawyer up.
Yeah, so the unprecedented election integrity action, the legal action now, and then also the turn out the vote effort, building that unprecedented ground game, making sure that we have programs in place to really speak to voters where they are and make sure that voters are voting early, getting out to vote, making sure their friends and family get out to vote. And so through that effort, that turnout, that election integrity operation, Co-Chair Trump and Chair Whatley have been absolutely fantastic and have done an amazing job.
We just talked to Brillon Holand, who's amazing. 18, just turned 18, wrote a book already, and he's in charge of your Youth Advisory Council. And that's a huge initiative that I've loved to see. Because I'm from Florida, and we were involved with TPUSA at a couple of events, and it was amazing. Like, I would come home and I would tell my kids, you have to do this, is incredible. But now to see it as integrated with the RNC, Scott Pressler, who's been out doing a fantastic job, he's here as well. That's got to be a huge initiative as far as growing the future of this party.
It is. It's about making sure that everyone that wants to be involved in making America great again can be involved in making America great again. This is a grassroots party. It's not a top-down party. Grassroots Americans are what drive the agenda. Grassroots Americans are what driving our turnout game as well. Getting people involved. Of course, speaking to young Americans is a huge, huge initiative, and making sure we're on the platforms where they are. The social media environment, it's constantly changing. Yeah. And that's part of making sure we are packaging and using the information we have, the facts and the truth that we have, and reaching people where we are. So that's part of that, speaking to young voters and also speaking to the concerns they have, buying that first home, starting a family. It's all so important, and it's part of a huge initiative to make sure that this is a grassroots party, and the grassroots are what's driving this movement to save America.
Tommy Pigott, state community, or what are you, senior
Strategic communications
pardon me.
director.
I can't even remember.
Right.
Strategic communications director for the RNC. Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, it was great getting to know you. And like I said, we're really excited about what's going to be coming up with the future events here on the next couple of days. So that was awesome. I really appreciate it. Speaking of speakers, by the way, I forgot to play this earlier, but we got a funny priest here in Wisconsin. There's I forget his name, Father something or other, but he came out to do the convocation before Donald Trump spoke. Listen to what he said.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Great pleasure to see President Donald Trump safe. And if I may, before the benediction, give you this promise. You're going to be so blessed. You're going to be tired of being blessed. I guarantee it. Believe me.
I don't know what was better, the Donald Trump impression or the little dance, the little Donald Trump dance. I wrote to my priest, by the way. I wrote to Father David. I was like, dude, you have to do this. And he goes, that's hilarious, which means I'm not going to do that, Mark. I'm not going to do that at all. But it was, and that's the kind of atmosphere you have here. You know, you thought that there was going to be this dark cloud hanging over the RNC, but there's not at all. There's a lot of engaged individuals, excited individuals, a lot of conservatives who are just, man, they're just so stoked for what's going to be going on. There's a lot of weirdos too. I should point that out. I mean, look, we're talking to these experts, we're talking to Congress people, we're talking to politicians, but you get your handful of weirdos. Just yesterday, as I was walking home, I went to the noodle joint because there's a noodle joint near my Airbnb, and I wandered into the noodle joint and I said, I'd like some noodles and some fried dumplings. I was in like kind of have a mood. And I got I'd ordered some beef. You don't care about any of this, I know, but I'm telling you anyway. I ordered it. I go up and I go, I'll have the beef ramen and some fried dumplings, whatever. And the guy goes, all right, 10 minutes. So I'm waiting there. All of a sudden, this guy walks up to me, or he's walking past me, and he goes, are you here for the convention? And this was the end of the day. It was like 7:30 at night, 8 o'clock at night. I was tired. I was sweaty. I'd been talking to people all day long, and I just wanted my noodles. I was like, I just want my noodles and my dumplings, and I want to go home and I want to relax. And a part of me was thinking, just say no. Just say no. Just say you're not part of the convention. Because you know what's going to happen. You're going to say, yes, I'm part of this convention, and this guy who clearly looked like he had some kind of agenda he wants to push on you is going to push his agenda on you. So I don't know what it was, but I guess I felt like maybe I looked like I was with the convention. So I go, yeah. And that was it. I spent the next 10 minutes listening to this guy's strategic plan to fix Social Security after 120 years of it being broken. But he went like in detail. This guy was talking about Elon Musk and how much, and he was asking me questions. Apparently, this guy had it all mapped out. I don't know why I had to answer questions, but he asked me something like, Elon Musk it made $57 billion, didn't pay taxes on it. Do you know what 72% of $57 billion is? And I'm like, no. I go, I don't know. I'm a podcast. I don't know math. If I knew math, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be waiting here for my noodles. And I listened to him over and over and over again. And you get a lot of that. There's a lot of folks outside the perimeter that have, agendas. There's pro-Palestinian protesters, not a lot of them, and nobody really seems to care about them at all. But they're out there. Maybe Maybe I'll grab. Look what I got. I made this microphone. I took some stickers, Marquez Saves the Republic stickers, and I made my own little mic flag from one of my former mic flags. So it's exciting. I'll go out and I'm going to go do some man on the street stuff later today. And maybe I'll introduce you to some of those crazy people that I was discussing. All right, listen, while we're gearing up, while we're getting ready for for Lara Trump, I need to tell you about Joe Biden, because Joe Biden, he's still out there and he's still doing and saying Joe Biden type things. Joe Biden is out there, and he was on with Lester Holt yesterday, which, Lester Holt, I got to be honest with you, not a big fan anymore. I used to like Lester Holt a lot, but now I'm not a big fan at all. He interviewed Joe Biden, and he let him get away with a whole bunch of stuff that he should not have let him get away with. For example, the first thing he asked him, he goes, hey, tell me about your phone call with, tell me about your phone call with Donald Trump. Here's what he said.
Very cordial. I told him how concerned I was and wanted to make sure I knew how he was actually doing. He sounded good. He said he was fine. And he thanked me for calling him. I told him he was literally in the prayers of Jill and me. And I hope his whole family was weathering this.
Yeah, now I know about Joe Biden's stance on abortion, so I don't know. Like, again, if he says you're in my prayers, you got to be specific because you don't know how those prayers are going. He could say you're in my prayers, but it could be, dear God, what are you doing? Dear God, why is he still here? Dear God, you had him so close. Those could be the Joe Biden prayers that he's talking about. So you always want to make sure that you're taking Joe Biden's prayers with a grain of salt. But then he mentioned how there's too much violent rhetoric once again.
It's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about it. For example, the January 6th, the attack on the Capitol. Of
course, Joe Biden does the thing that he loves to do, which is lie about Charlottesville. And Lester Holt just lets him get away with it, which was kind of disappointing, but also not shocking at all.
Until I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. Those folks coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile. It was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed. And it was a bystander. And the then president was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides. Not fine people on both sides. No excuse, zero.
And this is one of the biggest lies in the history of lies. This has been so debunked that Snopes, one of the most liberal organizations out there, Snopes, which spent the last 8 years creating false fact checks, has deemed that this is a false statement, that Joe Biden repeats this false statement. And Joe Biden's out there again on NBC with Lester Holt saying the same thing again. And Lester Holt knows that it's a false statement. Lester Holt knows that it's not true. Lester Holt knows that the president of the United States, he lying once again, but he just sits there and lets him get away with it. He doesn't call him out on it. He doesn't say, Mr. President, Snopes and just about everybody else has already said that's not true. He goes, don't worry about it. And he asks him, I will say this. I'll give Lester Holt a tiny, teeny, weensy modicum of credit because he did talk to Joe Biden about some of his rhetoric as well.
You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was, there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
I'm sorry. The term you used was bullseye. Bullseye. And Joe Biden's trying to say, I said bullseye, not crosshairs. Like that's any different. I guess technically, I guess it is different, but he's saying, no, I didn't say crosshairs.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on it.
So the bullseye is the actual target, I guess. So you put Donald Trump in the bullseye means that that's what you're shooting at. The crosshairs, actually, now that I describe it to myself and to you, it's the same damn thing. Whether you put Donald Trump in the crosshairs or you put him in the bullseye, the implication is the same. But here's Joe Biden saying, no, I didn't say crosshairs. That's totally different.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on it.
I can't even with this guy. Lester Holt did ask him about balancing. Listen to what Lester Holt asked. And when he asks this question, I always giggle when people use these kinds of words with Joe Biden, but listen carefully.
Have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced?
Now, that made me laugh for a couple of reasons, because he said, A, did you take a step back? And if Joe Biden takes a step back, he's falling. He's falling or he's tripping or he's doing something. B, he said, have you done some soul searching? Joe Biden doesn't have a soul, so you can search all you want. You're never going to find it. And then the third thing he said was that could cause people to lose balance or to go off balance. And I thought to myself, you're asking Joe Biden about losing balance. I thought that was pretty.
Have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced?
Yeah, it's the unbalanced leading the unbalanced. Whoa! But I digress. Here was Joe Biden's answer.
How do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when a president says things like he says? Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody?
Okay, so Joe Biden's, listen, here's what Joe Biden, this is an interesting tact to take. This is we were just talking about spin. We were just talking about spin with Tommy, and spin, here, Joe Biden's trying to spin it this way. He's not saying, I did not incite violence. He's not saying, I didn't say anything that would cause these people to become violent. He didn't say that at all. What he actually said was, I was just talking about what Donald Trump said, and if talking about what Donald Trump said incites violence, that's not my fault. How am I supposed to talk about Donald Trump and without talking about Donald Trump? How am I supposed to talk about what my opponent says without talking about my opponent says, talking about what my opponent says? And if me talking about what my opponent says incites violence on the left, well, then it's his fault, not mine. He's passing the buck once again. Now, there was a little tidbit that I thought was interesting because Lester Holt didn't let Joe Biden off the hook. He didn't let him off the hook with the Charlottesville comment, but he didn't let him off the hook totally and entirely. Lester Holt asked Joe Biden about talking to Obama. Joe Biden admitted he hasn't talked to Obama in a couple of weeks, whether we believe that or not. He's probably been ducking his calls, just like J.D. Vance has been ducking Kamala's. But he said, I haven't talked to anyone. So Lester Holt asked him, he said, look, who do you talk to?
Who do you listen to on deeply personal issues, like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not?
Me.
It was me, and then this silence, because there's nobody else. Joe Biden listens to nobody but himself, is what he's telling Lester Holt.
Who do you listen to on deeply personal issues, like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not?
Me.
And that's a lie for a couple of reasons. Number one, we know it's not just him, it's his wife as well, because anyone who's been married as long as he's been married knows you listen to your wife. But he said me. He didn't say, I listen to the American people. He didn't say, I listen to the voters. He didn't say, I listen to the Democrats. He didn't say, I listen to the people who put me in place in the first place. He didn't say, I listen to the people who I'm supposed to be helping out. He didn't say, I listen to what the public wants. This is a government of the people, by the people, for the people, and Joe Biden doesn't listen to the people. Joe Biden ignores the people, and he listens to one person and one person only, and that person is Joe Biden.
Who do you listen to on deeply personal issues, like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not?
Me.
I don't know if there's any Democrats out there listening to this, and I don't know if there's any Democrats out there that are still wanting to vote for Joe Biden, but just know this. If you vote for Joe Biden, he doesn't care about you. You knew that already, but he's admitting it now. He doesn't care about what you think. He doesn't care about what you want. He doesn't care about your desires. When you see Donald Trump at a rally, when Donald Trump stands up there, he says, look, I'm not doing this for me. He repeats the line, I had a great life. I could be spending my money playing golf every day. I did this because I want a better country for my kids. I want a better country for my grandkids. I want a better country for all of you. I want to make America great again. And the one thing that Donald Trump consistently says is, they're coming after you. I'm just standing in their way. And we saw that in real catastrophic evidence on Saturday. But Joe Biden, he's in it for himself. Joe Biden got into this race for himself. He got into this race because he knew he could make some money. He got into politics because it was an easy way. He failed as a lawyer. He was the bottom of his class, couldn't get a job. So at 29 years old, he said, you know what? There's only one thing left for me to do, run for Senate. And he entered politics and he never left. And he's a multi-millionaire as a result. How are the people in Delaware doing? How are the people in the United States doing? How were the people doing when he was vice president? How are the people doing now that he's president for, 4 years? Everything is bad. Because when Joe Biden wakes up in the morning, the only person he listens to is himself.
Who do you listen to on deeply personal issues, like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not?
Me.
I mean, they really should keep this guy off TV. Unless they want Donald Trump to win every single state except, I don't know, California. Portland? Wait, Portland's not a state. Oregon? I mean, which states could Donald Trump not win at this point in time? Maybe Oregon, maybe California, maybe Illinois still, although I don't know. Minnesota, I think, could go red. New Hampshire could 100% go red. Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all of those places. These are, every time Joe Biden opens his mouth, every time they put Joe Biden in front of a camera, every time Joe Biden says something silly, like the battle box, or when Joe Biden says, we got to beat him at the battle box.
But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. That's how we do it, at the battle box.
Yeah, every time he says something like that, every time he says, no, I didn't put Donald Trump on the bullseye, I didn't say put the crosshairs, I said the bullseye. Every time he does that, he loses more and more votes, and he makes it more and more likely that Donald Trump will be president here by the end of the year, which is very, very exciting. All right, like I said, we're waiting on Lara Trump. She's coming up here in just a minute. And Lee Greenwood, who introduced President, I'm telling you, everywhere you turn around here, you bump into some high-profile conservative icon. I was outside the Newsmax booth yesterday, and there was a lot of agents. I was like, oh, who's in the Newsmax booth? Because there were a lot of agents, and all of a sudden the door opened up, and Dr. Ben Carson walked out. And I go, oh, look, it's Dr. Ben Carson. And then I turned around, and Eric Trump was standing there. And then I walked in this morning, and the first thing that I saw as soon as I came in was Jim Jordan from Ohio, our good friend Jim Jordan. So it's been a really exciting time, and there's a lot more to come. All right, we are prepping for Lara Trump. She's going to be here in just a minute, and we are going to hear from the co-chair of the RNC. Give me 2 minutes. We'll be right back. More Mark Kaye Saves the Republic coming up. Remember, if you have not yet gotten your copy of my new book, Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy, now is the best time. Well, not now, maybe after the broadcast, but sometime today, make sure you go to GoTrumpYourself.com and grab a copy of Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy. In fact, you can order 3, 6, however many copies you want. There's an audiobook. There's an ebook. It's only $19. You can live like Trump for only $19. Go Trump Yourself. It's my new book. It's available right now. You put in your information. We'll send it right to your house, too. It's not like you have to go to the bookstore or the Walmart or anywhere. We'll send it directly to you. The website, once again, is GoTrumpYourself.com. And the reviews are stellar. If you go to the website, you can see we've got hundreds and hundreds of Facebook reviews. We've got reviews actually printed in the book. I put them right in the front there. I love Mark Kaye's personality and the quality of information he shares. That's more a review of me, but that's okay. I'll take it. Inspirational. This is a good one. Thank you, Mark Kaye, for using your great sense of humor and personality to share your knowledge and experiences to help and inspire others. Time well spent. Look, all of these people are just as smart as you are, and all of these people really love this book. Go Trump Yourself. 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in a Joe Biden Economy. Go to GoTrumpYourself.com. That is GoTrumpYourself.com if you would like to get your own physical copy. We also have a digital copy and an ebook as well. All right. So excited. We've spoken with Lara Trump several times, always via Skype, always via Zoom. I was on her podcast. She was on my radio show. We've talked to her on Newsmax. First time, though, that we've ever met in person, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Oh my! And this is a fantastic event. Now, you are the co-chair of the RNC, and I'm not wearing a hat. I probably should be, but hats off because this is a fantastic event.
Thank you.
Is this everything you thought it would be?
Oh my gosh, the team that we've had here has done amazing work, and this was a heavy lift, and it was a big deal because if you think about it, this is the first convention anyone has seen in 8 years. Nobody really had conventions like we traditionally do because of COVID in 2020. And so the fact that we, as the Republican Party, get to put this on right now, we're very excited and we're very proud of what we did last night and yesterday, and I think what you're going to see over the next 3 days.
All right, now let's talk about yesterday because your father-in-law comes out, President Trump comes out, he's got the bandage on his ear. He has, and I don't think I'm the only one that noticed this, an all-new security detail, all male. Is that something that was, have we changed our security in the last couple of days?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't notice that until I saw it in an article this morning. Here's what I'll say. The men and women of the United States Secret Service are some of the most incredible people that I have personally ever met. Eric and I had a Secret Service detail for 4 years. And I can tell you all of those agents, including the woman in front who actually used to be on our detail, did their jobs, and they did exactly what needed to happen. They were literally there, willing to take a bullet for the president, for my father-in-law, former president. And I think that the question shouldn't be, should it be all men? It's, should it be people who have earned that spot, or are we meeting some DEI quota? And I think that's the real question that a lot of people have right now. I, as a woman, never want a position because I'm a woman. Please only give me a title or a position if I have earned it and I'm the best person for that job. And whether it's in the U.S. Secret Service,
Yep.
whether it's as Vice President of the United States or any other position, Mark.
Supreme Court Justice.
I think that's how we should be basing our decisions in America.
Well, your choice of RNC co-chair was fantastic and well-deserved.
Thank
by
you.
all means. No D&I around here. Let's talk a little bit about Saturday. Where were you? I was on a plane. We were watching live on this. Where were you when this happened, and how were you informed? Were you watching live?
Eric and I were watching live at our house.
Wow.
I had a TV on in our kitchen. I was getting my kids dinner.
Yeah.
And Eric was in another room in our house. And to be honest with you, I knew like in that moment something was wrong.
Yeah.
And I never wanted my kids to be scarred by what might be going on. So I quickly like changed the channel there, and Eric and I obviously watched in real time.
Yeah.
Something horrifying happened. And I know it really wasn't that long, but the time he was down on the ground felt like an eternity.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just wondering, and nothing really prepares you for a moment like that. And if there was any question as to whether or not God is real or miracles happen, we got the question answered on Saturday, because millimeters would have made a difference of us having a completely different conversation and situation right now in this country.
And it's something, we are all on the plane, and we're all, huge supporters and huge fans, and everyone else is like, oh my God, what's going on? But, knowing you and Eric and your kids, you have to think this isn't just a former president. This isn't just a politician. This is someone's grandpa. This is someone's father. I mean, we just saw in Doral when he introduced Barron, and everyone was there. It was a totally different atmosphere. And then just a week later in Pennsylvania, we had this happen. But again, glad everything's all right. How is he really doing? A lot of people were saying a little more somber yesterday. Is he? I don't imagine he's shaken up, but is he taking things a little differently, or?
I mean, gosh, how do you go through an experience like that and not have it impact you in some way? And I think you'll hear that in his speech on Thursday.
Yeah.
People have already talked about the fact that he had a totally different, really great speech written. He completely tore it up and wants to do a different speech. And I think he can feel this moment, really where we are right now. I think there's a huge opportunity, honestly, for unity.
Yeah.
And I think that's the message you're going to hear from Donald Trump on Thursday. He's as strong as ever, as tough as ever, as focused as ever on what needs to happen. And I think he is so, I mean, look, we're all grateful, but I don't think you go through something like that and not come out on the other side changed a little bit by it. I do think it was emotional for a lot of people, probably including him, to come in that arena.
People on the plane were
night.
crying. People at the airport when we landed were, yesterday at the arena when he walked out, there were women and probably a couple of dudes wiping tears away because they were just so excited to see that he was doing well.
Yeah, and I think we all felt that in the family. We were up there in the box as he walked in as well. You could really feel the emotion in that room, and I think that we're really poised to see something very special, I think, happen in this country. It's a shame it had to take something like that happening, and honestly, our hearts go out to the family who obviously lost a husband and a father in this tragic situation. But I do think that it will be, and it can be, something that is a change for good.
I do want to say testament to you, too, because we talked about this going into it, and I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, this changes everything. The RNC is not going to be this massive party atmosphere. Totally wrong. It is, if not a party atmosphere, more so than we ever expected. It's a phenomenal event. I mean, are you seeing that there's an energy here that maybe you didn't even expect because of what happened on Saturday?
Oh my gosh, without a doubt. Yeah. It's like we all got a second chance.
Yeah.
We all saw something that could have gone so differently, and thank God it didn't.
Yeah.
And it is a party. We're celebrating what's about to happen on November 5th, which is that we're going to reelect Donald Trump as the 47th president.
Yeah.
People are excited about that. They understand, I think, this moment right now we're in as a country. We got to get ourselves out of it. We got to get on the other side. And I think now people have hope, and they see it in the form of Donald Trump.
All right, what's the big stuff coming up? So we've got now tonight a bunch of, yesterday's speakers, by the way, could have been the Thursday night primetime lineup. You had Byron Donalds, you had Marjorie Taylor Greene was in there, you had Amber Rose, who killed it. Did a fantastic job. So Tuesday, Wednesday, tomorrow is J.D. Vance, which tell me about that. Mm-hmm. That decision, I know Don Jr. is a huge fan. They're very tight. What do you think about J.D. Vance as vice president, and how did that come around? Because I texted you when Tim Scott got engaged, and I don't know if you remember that. I said, hey, Tim Scott got engaged. Is that because he's going to be VP? And you texted me back 3 emojis. I think it was shruggy girl emoji, question mark emoji, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So you guys did a great job keeping this under wraps. When was the decision made, and what do you think about it?
The decision was made pretty recently.
Yeah.
It really did. Look, the great news in the Republican Party is we have such a great bench and such a great slate of people, and he had great and incredible people to choose from. I think JD was a great choice for him. First of all, he's young, right? He's 39 years old, and we have to look forward. We want 4 years of Donald Trump, and we know the incredible, amazing things he's going to be able to do, the great changes he can make, because we've seen him happen. But after that, we need to look to the future. And I think having a person who's young like JD, who in a lot of ways reminds some people a little bit of Donald Trump, you can never get too much Donald Trump as far as I'm concerned. But JD's also a guy who, if you know his life story, can relate to the struggles of so many Americans out there. He lived a life of poverty for a long time. He had substance abuse issues in his family. These are problems that real Americans have every single day, and he can truly relate to those. I mean, talk about a success story, the American dream.
Yeah.
You've got Donald Trump on one hand and JD Vance on the other, and I think they're going to be a great team. And we're really excited to have him as our VP candidate.
One of the other things I noticed yesterday was when he said that your father-in-law got on the phone, heard his 7-year-old in the background, and said, "Let me talk to your 7-year-old," which people need to remember. Donald Trump is someone you can trust with small children. Unlike,
oh my God.
Unlike, current presidential office holders.
Yeah.
I know you're very busy, and I know that you've got an event to run, and I know a lot of other people want to talk to you. I do want to do this very quickly.
Okay, good.
This is quick, just 10 questions. One of 3 answers for each question, either Donald, Don Jr., or Eric.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Those are the only 3 answers we're looking for. Who has the best hair?
Oh, Donald.
Okay. Who is the best golfer?
You would have to go. I have to say Eric Trump as a wife, but Donald Trump is a great golfer.
Okay, but like if you're in a shotgun couples match and you get to pick from any of them and there's like $1 million grand prize.
Just so I don't get divorced, my husband. He's a good golfer too.
Who do you trust most to do your taxes?
None of them. None of them, because they don't do it. Somebody else does that.
We got people for that.
Yeah.
Who is most likely to help you with the dishes?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would like to say Eric Trump, and I should be able to say that, but
But you don't want to lie either. So it's Thanksgiving and
maybe
you're all done?
I'll call my brother-in-law to come over and help
Nobody
me.
jumps up and says, "Oh, let me give you a hand with those."
Oh, all you guys are jumping up all the time to help, Mark, please.
Who would you trust most to babysit?
I would trust my father-in-law to babysit.
Really?
Eric does a great job with our kids, but those are his kids. I'd give him to Donald Trump before Don. No offense, Don.
Okay, so Donald Trump or Eric, Don Jr., absolutely not. Fantastic. Who do you follow if you're lost in the woods?
Oh, Eric.
Yeah?
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows his way around things. And I would say Don too. Don's Secret Service name was Mountaineer because he's a great outdoorsman. So
I thought it was because he had a beard.
That you could also go that way too. Yeah.
Who is most likely to get in a bar fight?
Don, without a doubt.
Don Jr.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at he loves a fight on
he almost
Twitter,
hit a
the whole
reporter.
thing.
I saw him hit a Daily Mail reporter almost or something. MSNBC. Who would you call if you had a flat tire?
Eric Trump.
Who swears the most?
None of them.
Oh, come on.
Well, we've all heard my father-in-law in more than one rally drop a couple of bombs of all different varieties. So maybe we could go.
We'll go with him. And then finally, who would make the best president for the next 4 years?
Donald J. Trump.
Yay.
Obviously.
Lara Trump, RNC co-chair. Thank you so much for being here. It was so great to meet you in person finally.
I know. We finally did it.
I know. This was so great. And now what about your political future? I mean, I know you're doing great here, but there was talk of you running for Senate in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Are we going to do some more of that, or is there something on the horizon we don't know about?
Politics is so nice for all Trumps. They make it such a breeze for us. Look, I would be lying if I said that I thought I would ever be the co-chair of our party. I'm honored to be here, and I would never say never about any Trump. Right now, I'm focused on this election and this president and this amazing convention that we have, but you never know.
We all are. Yeah. Lara Trump, thanks so much for being here. I know you got to get back to work. I'm going to take a 2-minute break because I want to get a selfie quickly. Hey, so here's a fun fact. Yesterday, I came up with this idea to have a little intro, a countdown, and I wanted to have some really inspiring, epic music to signify, so that you could listen to it, so it's not just so you can test your audio and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was copyright-free music because I Googled copyright-free music and I paid a license for copyright-free music. And turns out it wasn't copyright-free music. So I demand a refund, number one. But also I decided the best thing to do is not gamble. Because even if you yank something off the internet and you pay for it and you think it's copyright free, Google, YouTube, Facebook, a lot of these other places, they don't care. They're going to tell you you're violating somebody's rights. You're infringing on someone's copyright. And so what I decided to do is just scrap the copyright free music because it wasn't copyright free anyway. And I decided what? I'm doing great, Dan. Dan Bongino just walked by, so sorry. Anyway, listen, I've only got one more minute to vamp. Only one more minute to vamp, and then we're going to start the show. So this is the new introduction. It's not going to be musical. It's just going to be, and maybe I'll sing. Hey, this is me getting ready for the show. Maybe I won't. But anyway, it's very, do you remember the Gary Shandling show or It's Gary Shandling show or whatever? They had this theme song that was just kind of this guy singing, hey, here's the theme song. Maybe I'll come up with one of those. And that way I know that I'll own it. I know that there won't be any issues. I know that there won't be any problems with it. I'll know that I can just use it copyright free forever and ever and ever again. If anyone, you know what I should do? I should get a song written for me. I should probably just bring back the Mark Kaye Show song. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to start Mark Kaye Saves the Republic here in just about 10 seconds. If you're watching the countdown, probably there's like 10 seconds left. 7, 6, 5, 4. Anyway, enjoy the show. Ta-da! I'm really excited to have not just a fantastic congressman from the state of Florida, a good friend, although I don't know if you know this, but you're the last guest I had before I got fired from my old job.
I'm going to take that as a badge of honor.
You came in on a Tuesday. We did it. Oh, you threw your ice cream in the mail bin. Did I ever tell you that?
Did I really?
We had ice cream. Why did we have ice cream? I don't even remember.
Because Joe.
Oh, that's
Joe.
right. Yeah, Joe was having
ice cream and
we thought
creating more world problems.
Yeah, we saw you on the way out there. We had a big black mail bin. Looks exactly like a trash can. I don't blame you at all. And you tossed your ice cream right on top of the mail. And the next day they
incoming or outgoing?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't work there anymore.
Fair enough.
You can do whatever you want. But Mike Waltz, congressman from Florida's 6th District, is here. Thank you for being here. First of all, we've had already it's day one. It's been the most exciting. It's been the most exciting RNC. We just got a vice presidential pick yesterday, J.D. Vance from Ohio. How upset are you that it won't be Trump Waltz this time around?
I was actually pushing for my wife, Julia. She's much smarter and better looking than me, but
I'm not.
JD's a good pick. JD's a good pick.
He's younger, 39. Is that right?
Yeah.
And he's from Ohio, author. We all, we know a little bit about him. Do you think why was he chosen? Because, Donald Trump has said immediately, he said on multiple occasions, I don't really need help. I don't really think I need help from any particular district. What is it about JD that you think put him on the top of the ticket?
First, I think the entire bench, the entire shortlist slate, I think really reflects the bench of the Republican Party.
Correct.
I mean, I think any one of them would have been great picks. Everyone brought their strengths and weaknesses. I think for JD, I love the fact that he's a veteran. Mm-hmm. He's a Marine Corps veteran. First time in a long time that we've had a vet on the ticket. But I think ultimately he really embodies the forgotten man and woman that is central to the campaign. I just introduced the Republican Party platform on the floor as the co-chair of the platform committee. And it was meant for the forgotten man and woman. JD is that person. If you understand his story, I think putting him on the road throughout the Rust Belt, send him to Big Ten football games all through the fall and really pull those blue-collar voters in, that's going to pull the rug out from under Biden.
And I think the poison cloud of gas hovering above his state, I think he handled that brilliantly, and he really took it to the Biden administration. So that probably
East Palestine. Absolutely. And put real legislation in place to try to prevent it. I mean, that's the real irony is the Biden administration hates pipelines. Mm-hmm. Well, that just means things move on rail. Yeah. All the hazardous material.
That's exactly right. We see how well they do that. We have Pete Buttigieg to thank for that, but that's a whole other story. Let's talk about the assassination attempt, because you, former military yourself, Green Beret, you are on every committee, the armed services, intelligence. I mean, you're the go-to guy for security in this country. Let's talk about the Secret Service. Is this, military readiness? We've talked about DE&I initiatives, and we've talked about the woke military. Is that what happened here?
I think it's a couple of things that happened. Number one, I have agents that I'm talking to that are frustrated, they're upset, they're embarrassed. They have been repeatedly asking for more resources for the Trump campaign, and they're telling me they've been repeatedly denied. Number two, Trump's not a normal post-president.
Yeah.
He's not Jimmy Carter,
No.
sitting in the old folks' home or Bush painting. But yet they gave Trump the standard package. Yeah, here's your post-president package.
Correct.
Sail off into retirement. Doesn't take into account the rallies every week, his 3 residences, the fact that he's got Iranian threats on top of domestic threats. So I don't believe we'll have a hearing with the Secret Service director next week, but I think it's going to come out that they didn't tailor the package to the threats and to the need. What does that mean? That means that the Secret Service folks he does have are more reliant on local law enforcement, which it turns out was in charge of clearing that building where the shooter was.
And I have to be honest with you, too, because I've had multiple conversations. We were chatting with Dan Bongino earlier today. I mean, the Secret Service is there, yes, to protect the asset. But in a grander scale, the Secret Service is there to protect the people around the asset. And Donald Trump, as you pointed out, has way more people around him than any asset probably in history.
You got it.
So that's got to be it's not just about the one person. It's about everybody who flocks to that guy.
Well, yes. I mean, had it been a bomb, a vehicle-borne IED, suicide bomber, what have you, right? I mean, to your point, he's literally surrounded by thousands at these rallies. But secondarily, let me just say as a veteran, I have seen men and women in combat my entire life taking fire. Your base instincts kick in one way or another. I've seen people cower and hide and do everything they can to get away from it. And I've seen men stand up in the face of it. And his latter better instincts kicked in.
I mean, Donald Trump, standing up, putting his fist in the air. Again, I think to myself, I go, what would my first reaction be? It would probably be screaming, I'm shot, I'm shot. But here's a guy who knows, is either, aware of his situation or is just that tough and probably has been expecting it. I mean, he's got to be. You know about this.
But nobody knew. I mean, you didn't know if there was another shooter in the crowd, if the sniper was down, and yet his instinct was to make sure the crowd knew he was okay and that America knew it was okay. That speaks to his character.
Real quick, I know you got to run, but I want to talk a little bit more about China and the threat there because that's something I know that you're very into. When Donald Trump joined TikTok, did you just throw your hands in the air and you were like, how are you not listening to anything I said?
I didn't like it. I'll be honest. We let the team know.
I thought about you immediately. I was like, Mike Waltz. Oh, my God.
With the legislation that we put in place and forced on Biden, either the thing's going to shut down or they're going to have to sell it, and there are a number of American-based
that want to divest
financial firms that are looking to buy it. So in the long run, I think we're in a good place.
So I should probably keep this interview off of TikTok, right? You'd be upset if you found yourself on TikTok one day.
Hey, look, they're taking your data.
That is true.
All day long.
All right, so this convention, we got a couple days here left. Donald Trump's going to get the nomination. What else do you have planned here? What are you pushing? What's your big message going into the election here?
Well, I'm going to speak on Wednesday in the evening, unless things change. And so at the end of the day, and this is the shift you'll see, post-assassination attempt. Mm-hmm. America knows how much better their lives were from a economic, safety, world on fire point of view under him. They know it's not so good now, and I think it's crafting that vision of how we get back to great again.
Yeah.
And that's from all of our perspectives. For me, the number one job of the federal government is to keep us safe. Almost everything else I want state and local to do because they do it better than Washington, D.C. But state and local can't fund and build a military that's going to keep our adversaries at bay. So I'll be talking a lot about that. Biden's worried about pronouns and DEI and electric tanks and solar panels on the Pentagon.
Electric tanks.
We've got to get back to making our military lethal again, warriors again, and kicking ass again. And that's all they should be worried about.
It's fantastic. Mike Waltz from Florida's 6th District. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you, of course, fighting the good fight. Are we keeping the House of Representatives?
I think we're going to grow the House of Representatives. We're going to grow our majority.
We can't get it smaller.
Look, President Trump, we wake up, rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
And he is going to drive turnout and drive enthusiasm. He's going to pull the House along with him and grow the majority. The Senate's kind of on its own map, depending on the states that are up. We can't flip the Senate this time. We're done for a decade.
Yeah. No,
so good. I think we wake up November 6th and we've got all three.
All right.
I really do.
Listen, I appreciate you sitting down. Hopefully I won't lose my podcast now.
And you don't have a mailbag, I'm not going to throw my drink in it.
Let me show you where the trash can is. Congressman Mike Waltz, everybody. Hey. All right, listen, this has been a fantastic day. Day 2. I didn't think anything could be better than day 1, but day 2 really. God knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, I know for a fact we've got Lee Greenwood, we've got Congresswoman Kat Kamek, and God knows what else is going to happen. But this is what's happening here in Wisconsin. This is what's happening in Milwaukee. You've got thousands and thousands and thousands of combative, patriotic conservatives, and they are all here for one reason, and that is to get Donald Trump reelected president of the United States and a bunch of conservative, combative Republicans on the down ballots so that we can control the House of Representatives, the Senate, the White House, and take back our country once and for all. But we need everyone's help. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following along on TikTok and Instagram and on my email list. And if you don't, go to markk.com, because we need everybody. We need every single person listening and learning and inspiring and educating and voting and doing whatever